So tell me a little bit about your situation. You're teaching right now. I'm
Yes,
going to take notes as we talk a little bit. Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I'm a full-time teacher.
Okay.
I'm a middle school teacher, and
Okay.
I work in LA County. And
Okay.
you know, always wanted to open my little coffee business ever since I was in college, and I figured why not now since I have the money and I have the funds.
Yeah.
Um, and I got my business registered,
Okay.
everything, all the documentation. I got my seller's permit, my what's it called? Business license, I think it's called. Yeah,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And the last thing that I want to know is just like, what's better, coffee car, a trailer, or start off in farmers markets? And I think for me, the problem is right now is just the health permit because
Yeah.
there's very strict,
Yeah.
in the county.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you, how did you do it? I know you said you started off in farmers markets. I know you said you started off with a mobile car.
Yeah.
Um,
So LA County. Okay. So I'm going to give you general information and then I'm going to give you specific.
okay.
And whenever I'm, kind of giving advice or trying to talk about, what I would do, I always say that your specific situation will always outweigh my general advice, because I'm talking to the public. And so
Mhm.
sometimes people's specific situations are a little bit different. So
Yeah.
generally, the farmers markets are good for a couple different tools. They're good stepping stone if you're just getting started, you don't know how to get into coffee. You can start them real cheap, a couple $100, and get out quickly. I can literally go on to Amazon, buy a bunch of stuff, and by next week I can start setting up,
Yeah.
So typically with those though, there's different permits. There's temporary permits. Sometimes you'll have push cart permits. Sometimes you'll have different type of vending permits based upon the county. So
Mhm.
every county is a little bit different. California tends to be a little bit more strict than say Kansas.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the tabletop setup, as I like to call it. And then the next step up from there is the cart. Now, carts are a great stepping stone for people that aren't there financially. And what I mean by that is financially, I think to launch, I would say it's a pretty safe bet to launch a trailer that you're probably going to be about 15K into the hole. So you need about $15,000 to get started. I don't think you need that all at once. You can very easily start with 10K and then just accumulate the 5 grand a little bit later, or
Mhm.
maybe even float the 5 grand. I'm not a big fan of loans, but I understand if
Mhm.
you have a couple gigs set up, okay, maybe someone might get a little personal loan from family or friends or something. But anywhere between 10 to 15K to start a trailer. So sometimes people don't have that saved up. And what I would much rather have them do instead of going out and finding a 10K loan or a 15K loan, especially for people that don't have entrepreneur experience, I
Yeah.
think it's a much better approach to start off with a coffee trailer, a coffee cart, because those things you only need, give or take about 3, maybe 5 grand to start a cart. They're not expensive to start,
Mhm.
but carts have a wide variety of regulation. And so this is where the specifics may outweigh the general, because you're
Mm.
in LA County and
Mhm.
LA County is notorious for
Yeah.
not allowing carts. They're really tough on carts. So where you would have to, and it just kind of depends on your inspector. One of the big prohibiting items of LA County and their specific food truck regulations is on the minimum size of the water tanks. They
Mhm.
want to see a 20-gallon tank. Now, 20-gallon tanks are huge. There's
Yeah.
no way you're going to put a 20-gallon tank on a cart.
Yeah.
So you go, well, how can I operate this thing without a 20-gallon tank? And that's where you might be able to convince the inspector to allow you to wash your dishes at a commissary, where you
Mm.
say, look, I'm going to use my commissary as a refuel depot. This is where I'm going to do all my dishwashing. I'm going to carry enough dishes with me that in the event I get one dirty, that I have clean backups ready to use.
Mhm.
That's where you might be able to convince a an inspector possibly to do a different type of scenario and allow you to be able to set up a cart without the minimum 20 gallon. But
Gotcha.
LA is tough on carts. LA, Orange, San Diego, all that Southern California. I mean, those code and regulations. I got someone in my master class. We were just going over the code and regs for Orange County, and they're all pretty much the same. So it really comes down to whether or not your health inspector is going to allow you to operate a cart without a minimum 20 gallon tank. If they do, great. Then you can start off with the cart. You put a hand washing sink on there. You carry enough utensils that you can operate a full shift without having to need to wash things, because you got plenty of other steam pitchers, plenty of other serving spoons, those type of things. And all your cups are disposables, so they may be able to allow you to do that. If that's not the option, then very quickly you jump into the coffee trailer space. And that's kind of where, that's obviously how I make my living. And then you have two choices from there. You go, okay, well, do I build my own coffee trailer out, or do I purchase a used coffee trailer? Or the third option is to get a brand new coffee trailer. So brand new coffee trailers, I'm pricing them about 40, 50K. That's what I'm seeing them. Used coffee trailers, depends on whether or not they have equipment in there. The turnkey, as they say, with all the equipment and supplies, 30, 35K. The ones without all the supplies, just the regular coffee trailers, I'm seeing them, maybe you might find a deal for 25K, sometimes a little bit less, but 25K, 30K. Now there's risk to buying a used coffee trailer. There's a few risks, and it's funny, we're just covering this in the master class. So risk number one is so Orange County, LA County, San Diego are notorious for their sinks. They want a 10 by 14 sink. They want it all integrated, which means your drain boards typically have to be part of the actual plumbing unit itself. Now, if you don't have that plumbing set the way they want it, so you buy a used trailer and the plumbing isn't built out to their code and regulations, that means you got to go in and rip all that stuff out and reinstall it. And that's more expensive than just installing it from scratch, because you have to add a demolition aspect to that as well. You're not just starting from scratch, you're actually starting from the negative. Now you got to rip all this stuff out first, and now you can put all the plumbing regulations. They're also the housing code regulations for the state of California require fire exits. So you have to have opposing fire exits. Your fire exit has to have a certain minimum amount of square footage. It's got to be a certain amount off the floor. It's got to be able to handle a certain amount of weight. Most people can get away with using their windows as their second fire exit, as long as it's on the opposing side from your opening door. But fire exits are another big red flag when I'm shopping for a used coffee trailer, because if you don't have fire exits, that means I got to install the fire exits into the trailer. So that's another big one that I would look for. And lastly is the windows themselves. So you have the opening of the window, but then you have the food serving opening. Sometimes you'll see these windows, they'll have a big, we'll just say 48 by 36, 4 feet by 3 foot window, and it opens up with an awning. But then once it opens up, there's screens and plexiglass, and you serve food through this small little opening. That's California code. They really like these small little openings, 216-inch to be specific, which equates to a 12 by 18 if you're using that formula. But anyways, so the California code they're really kind of sticklers on their food serving openings. And one final thing that I would be looking for when looking for a used coffee truck for the state of California is the floors. And so the floors, they want your floors to come up in kind of this bevel. They describe it as a coved. They want a kind of they don't want a 90-degree angle at the corner of where your wall and your floor meets. They want it to curve up. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like the see the curve up here that I got on my, they want that curve, and it's very specific. They say they want 3/8 of an inch, and that they want 4 inches up the wall, and that you can't just use a baseboard. They said, no, your floor has to come up the wall. And I think it's so that you can wash it and things don't get caught in the corners and that there's not leaks and that type of stuff.
Okay.
But their flooring is really unique, So before I just, started, beating the feet, hitting the internet for a used coffee trailer, there's a lot of these little specific code and regulations that you really got to make sure that there's a strong understanding on, because if you buy a used coffee trailer, and let's say you spend 30 grand on this thing and you buy it out of whatever, Colorado, because it's cheap and the guy's willing to drive it to you. Well, once you get it, if you don't have these code and regulation little pieces dialed in, well, you're going to be spending another 5-10 grand trying to get this thing to meet the code and regulations of California.
Gotcha.
Where if you would have just, I'm going to drop my name in here, but if you would have just spent, the couple $100 on my master class and the 15K on the coffee trailer, you would have got the whole thing done for a lot less. And the other thing, and this is just me going off my deep end, and take it with a grain of salt. But the other thing about kind of building your own trailer as opposed to purchasing used, I hear the argument of purchasing used, because the first thing is you go, I don't have to deal with all that headache if I can find something that meets this criteria,
Yeah.
And I hear that that's a lovely argument. And there's two other arguments for that. The other argument is that, well, if I buy a used coffee trailer, Vince, then I don't have to, not only do I don't have to spend all the time hiring contractors to build mine out. That's what I teach people to do is, how to develop their floor plans, how to give it to the contractors and have the contractors build it, not you. I mean, there's some stuff you can do, insulation and whatnot, but most of it, you have contractors build your own, and that's what saves you so much money. But anyhow, so you go, well, that's a headache, Vince. I don't want to deal with that. If I can just, find someone that has a used coffee trailer that meets my needs, it has the opening that I'm looking for on the window, the plumbing that I need for the code and regulations, the cove floor, then, I don't have to deal with all that headache. You're right. You don't. You're absolutely right. And if you can get it for, let's say they have something up there for 25, 30K, I can hear the argument of like, okay, well, that's 10K that I don't, 10K that I'm spending extra, so I don't have to deal with the headache. However, I'm also, if I buy a used coffee trailer, I'm also getting the trailer faster than I would if I were building it out. I'm saving months of time because I'm buying it already prepped. And that's where I think people that are opposing my argument have a strong argument, because then you go, well, that's true. If you can find one right now, that's going to save you 2-3 months of searching for the trailer, building out the floor plan, hiring an electrician, hiring a plumber, and going through all that headache. And that's a good argument, because if you can say, if you hit the floor running and you're able to make a couple grand right out the get-go, then, that's money that you are making that you would have had to wait building this whole thing out. So building a used coffee trailer, you're giving up a little bit of money, but you're saving a little bit of time. So I can see people's arguments on that. And so, it really comes down to if the stars align. If let's say you hit the floor running and you dig into eBay and Craigslist and Facebook Market, and for you're in LA County, so I'd be looking at Las Vegas, Phoenix, Tucson, El Paso, Albuquerque, Reno, the Bay Area. I'd be looking all over these areas for these deals.
Gotcha.
And if you find that deal and it's within that kind of budget of maybe 20 to 30K, then I could understand the purchase. Then I can see where someone might possibly go with a used coffee trailer over. That's if those finances are there, those finances got to be there. But if those finances aren't there, if you're starting off, you only got 10 grand in the bank, then I'm like, well, that 30 grand is out of the equation, because the only way for you to get that is by getting a loan, and you're brand new to the business. That's a great way to eat through your savings account and go belly up. And I see it all the time on the forums. I'm part of all these coffee truck forums and stuff. People will start their business. Look, I got my coffee truck. I did this thing. I did it. And then 6 months later, coffee truck for sale. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
why are you trying to sell a $50,000 coffee truck? Well, because you couldn't
Yeah.
pay your bills. That's why.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not there yet because
Okay.
maybe one day. So I know the trailer is like, I was doing my research and I felt like even building it on your own is better. And even like, I think like meeting up with someone in the LA County Health Department to tell you like the list that you need to do, which it's very helpful. Cause then like you said, then you could grab a contractor, electrician and all that stuff. But right now I want to start off small just to see how even just my work life is going to balance out with my coffee business as well. So I'm guessing either like farmers markets or just like catering businesses I could do, or like even a coffee cart. I guess my problem is just like, what if they're like, well, we need all your permits, you know? I guess that's something
Who's
I'm
that?
just like scared of. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like for farmers market, I know I need the temporary permit, which I went yesterday to one of the LA County health department offices, and I asked them like, what if it's like a farmers market? Can I do a stand? And they're like, that's something you could get away with. But like someone would need to come and inspect, or they say like some part of the farmers market they're gonna have you sign something, and then they're gonna have people come and inspect you.
Expect you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that's like the day of or before the
Typically
event.
the day of is usually, and you know, it's kind of one of those things. I've done it both ways where you have to set up the day before or they'll come that day, but that's it. And basically they come and they check all your liquids to make sure that all your milk is the right temperature. They make sure you can wash your hands. You got typically hot water for hand washing, and that you got clean towels dedicated to your hand washing sink and soap to be able to wash. And that you're just clean, they just looking around and make sure there's not spills and stuff. But yeah, if they can let you get away with a stand, ooh, I would jump on that right away. That would be one of the big things. And then just rock that stand. And then from there, if you're interested, go to the website. I sell a coffee cart ebook. And the coffee cart ebook is good. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's good. There's another one that I bundle with it, and that's how to make a 100K business. And that one, it's all the marketing on how to get private events. And that's where there's some bucks in private events. That's where you're going to hit 100K in a year, or more. I mean, people make hundreds and thousands doing this stuff. So, take a look at that one, because it talks about how to get in with like wedding event coordinators, how I've gotten in with 5Ks, different techniques, just kind of that on the ground tried techniques that I've used to kind of inch my way into farmers markets, inch my way into 5Ks, inch my way into weddings, and how I do like both digital as well as paper marketing. Paper marketing has made me a killing. And so how to do those type of things, because a lot of people just think, well, I'll just take an ad out in the newspaper, and that's not how it works. There's a whole technique to making money through advertising. But if you can do that, gosh, I mean, you'll have your money. If you can get a stand and you can do private events, if you can have a cart and do private events, you can easily make your money within 6 months. You'll hit your 30K within 6 months. That's
what I wanted to learn too. Like,
Yep.
Because I know one of my friends does like more of like a candy type of like catering, like for birthdays.
Okay.
And stuff. And I told her, like, does she need like a health permit for that?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. Maybe she's flying under the radar. Don't say her name.
No. So I'm like, I just want to know like what the whole documents are, because I was so lost, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't know we needed a EIN for like a business. So like I'm just learning. So definitely a farmer's market will be good, and I feel like as a teacher, I feel like that will be better for me because it's going to be mostly on the weekends.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's the only time I'm gonna have.
5Ks, the weekends, right. And the weather's good, so you don't need a roof over your head then.
Yeah.
You know, it's when things get a little bit colder or rainier is where you really want that trailer. So right now the getting is good. So if you can
Yeah.
do the standalones, if they'll allow you to do a cart, oh,
Mhm.
gun it. Yeah, that's a great route to go. And then once you have, I think, you know, California is a little bit more expensive than the rest of the US. I
Mhm.
generally give you guys a 25% tax because
Yeah.
anything I do here, it's 25% more over there. So I
Yeah.
would say once you have, you know, 15 up to 20K in the savings account, then that's probably a good time to start doing some trailer shopping and lining up your contractors and just getting a good understanding from that. I think that would be a prime time to do it.
Okay.
And that shouldn't take you long. I remember when I first started entrepreneurship, when someone told me 20K, I was like, you've lost your damn mind. That
Yeah.
is, you know, like that is so much money. Like that's a car, you know.
Yeah.
But it's so funny, like you start getting into entrepreneurship and those numbers just start going through your bank account and they don't become so as intimidating anymore, which is great.
Mhm.
So, you know, at the if you break this down into a per event equation, you go, well, wait a second. If I do a farmer's market and I make $500 in net sales, not gross, you got to
Mhm.
run numbers differently. But let's say you take home $500 in your pocket, $650 in sales. Okay.
Mhm.
Then well, at $500, 4 of those is going to get you 2 grand. Okay,
Mm.
so that's a month. That's a
Yeah.
month for that 2 grand. So if you only do once a week, one farmer's market, $500 net, then in 1 month it's 2 grand. So in 10 months, you'll hit your 20 grand. Okay.
Mm.
Now if you do, let's say you do one farmer's market and every other week you do a 5K.
Mhm.
Well, then suddenly you're closer to about 6 months before you get your coffee trailer on, before you start
Got
hitting
it.
your money. So it's not, I mean, you just got to learn to pack it away. You know, don't even
Yeah.
separate here's tips from me to you. Okay. Tips
Yeah.
from an entrepreneur that's been in the game a little bit to a new entrepreneur. Separate your money. Just get it separate. Just separate
Yeah.
your money. Don't mix them. You know, just go get the business account
Mhm.
and just separate your money.
I
Whatever
got the
money you make from the
plan already.
business. Yeah.
It's
Great.
already set.
Good.
Um,
Then send
I
it
think
there.
the
That
next
way it doesn't
thing.
mix in, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna buy that book. If you can tell me what the title is again.
It's like how to make 100K, how to make 100K coffee. It's let me see. Oh no,
Because I
I'm
have the
horrible.
coffee cart ebook,
Yep.
and I think I have the building business one.
Building a profitable business. That's it. Building a profitable
Oh,
business.
I have a building a coffee truck business. Is that the
Yep,
same one?
that's it. Yeah, the bundle.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, perfect. You got the two. That's exactly what it
Okay.
is. Thank you.
Okay,
We
perfect.
had tried a couple different names to see what the internet marketing is so weird. You know, you beta
Yeah.
test a couple different things and you see what takes, and then you go, okay, that's the name of the book. So but that's it. That's
Okay.
the book. And what that does is it shows you how to do like Google ads, Facebook marketing, Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
how to make things that are more viral, how to do newspaper ads, how to do postcards, which I made a killing off of,
Yeah.
how to get in with weddings, the 5Ks, all those things. So once you got your stand, then you want to spend a good week, 2 weeks to create your marketing campaign,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to set aside a little bit of money for it, to start off. But it brings money back in, and then you can reinvest back into the marketing, and that's how
Yeah.
you grow. Yeah. Okay. Does that help?
Yes, it does a
All
lot.
right. All
Like,
right.
I just signed up to 2 farmers markets. So I'm just waiting to hear back.
All
Um,
right.
I saw your videos on how like what to buy for inspection. I
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
know if it's changed, but I tried like looking the most updated equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you so much. And
Absolutely. Yeah. The other, we just got, because of the master class, I got 30 people doing the same thing right now. All of us have fingers on the pulse on where to buy things.
yeah.
Temu has been doing some odd sales lately, so that's something to jump on. I mean, people that watch this video in the future, it may not be relative to them, but one of the guys from the class is saying he's getting good deals there. And there's another company out right now called Vevor. They just got started, VEVOR. They're selling on Amazon. I bought them through Amazon. I've been happy with them so far, but they do have their own website as well.
Okay, it's VVOR.
VEVOR. Vivor.
VE.
VOR. Yeah, Vivor. I don't know what it means, but Vivor.
Okay. And then what was the first one? Odd.
Temu. 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 Yeah. Yeah. They're, it's just made in China stuff sold for cheap. So
Okay, cool.
it's like, it's one of those things, like, you don't expect good quality, but sometimes you just need, you just need something at a low price. So those are some of the places people have been looking. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. I feel a lot.
Yeah.
And I know this is recorded, but if I have to do
Yeah.
things on the low, I guess that's how we all start, right?
I won't say anything. There's plenty of times where I'm like, well, okay, catch me if you can.
Mhm.
As an official consultant, I can't do that anymore. But there's
Back
it
in the
wouldn't be the
day.
first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Miss
Well,
Kathy. Thank you
you.
so much. Yeah, I appreciate the business and appreciate you jumping on with me here and helping other people out, because other people will see this and I think it'll really help them. So thank you so much for that.
For sure. Thank you so much. And I'll be following up with you soon as
Would
well.
would you keep me in the loop? I always like to see the progress. It makes, I really enjoy that.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you so much.
Okay,
Have
Miss
a good
Kathy.
day.
You got it. You take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.